Hey everyone, welcome to Taqueando. I'm your host, Bill Esparza, and this week I'm revisiting a place that I always go to. You see me going there on social media, and I talk about it here on the podcast. I talk about it in real life, Tijuana. And one of my favorite chefs in Tijuana is joining us today, Chef Guillermo Oso Campos, famous for Tacos Kokopelli, and most recently Tras Horizonte, which just recently closed. I don't know if you guys know that, but I was able to go in on the last night of service. I just happened to be in town, and we're going to kind of get into this because Chef Oso, he's a very humble guy, but his impact on modern tacos is pretty profound, and he's really done it behind the scenes, not being an out. You don't see him at every festival talking about this, but we're going to talk about it today. But first, at Taqueando, eating antojitos is a way of life, from the world's most celebrated dining rooms to the gritty stands and storied market stalls that preserve culture. Life is short, so we must eat well. And here are this week's Antojitos Rundown. Well, first off, I had the pleasure, once again, as I've been going for many years, of dining at Mariscos Los Corchos. Now, Mariscos Los Corchos, I wrote about for Eater when they opened. They were in a backyard, their backyard. They have bounced around and had really rotten luck. Last week, their $100,000 mobile kitchen trailer was stolen, and they just opened a brick and mortar. And this place doesn't have a kitchen. It's a former beauty salon, and so they were parking the kitchen in the back, and that's where they were doing the cooking. And just opened up, and they get this thing stolen. So they lost a whole week's service, which is really rough as you're starting out. And so I myself and some friends went out to support them, some followers too. And I want to say a big shout out to Ceviche Project, Chef Octavio, for joining me to have some pescado zarandeado, aguachiles divorciados. They're amazing. Chicharrón de pescado, which is made with was made with halibut collars, and a very different presentation that's really lovely. And of course, sopes de ostion. And I urge you, we got to keep these restaurants around that are so special, and they really need everyone's support right now. Oh my gosh, yes, everyone's dying, everyone's struggling right now. But Mariscos Los Corchos is the little cevicheria that could. So please go to East LA and support them. The other thing I did right after I left Los Corchos, I headed to catch one for the 23rd annual Los Angeles Brazilian Carnaval. Now, this event put on by Brazilian Knights and Patricia Leal, I have to say they are really, working hard to keep this tradition alive. I've seen this thing in all kinds of venues over the years, in backyards. Some years they weren't able to hold the event, and so they're bringing it back. And it was at Catch One. It was a really nice event. Of course, there was samba dancing, all kinds of Brazilian music, and we enjoyed Brazilian hot dogs and caipirinhas with the LA Brazilian community. So thank you, Brazilian Nights, for keeping this tradition alive. But one thing I love is a good South American backyard barbecue, a parrilla. And we got to experience this together while trying wines from the MVA wine portfolio. And, so as soon as we walked into the backyard, we went to the west side, your favorite place, Rob.
Yeah, it takes a lot to get me over there, I'm gonna be honest.
Whatever. I don't believe that, but okay. And so, we went to the west side, and we went to Tito's house, and I didn't really know what to expect, but we come back there, and he's got the little brick, the brick barrier there on the floor, and he's got the coals white with some little red on the coals, and he had um on a little platform, he had some steak, some asado, some chicken, and they had butternut squash right on the coals. That you can't get zapallo, the Argentine style squash here, but butternut squash is a great substitute. What a spread! A cheese platter, a little charcuterie platter, and then we had sweetbreads coming out, and we had asado, chicken. We had the squash all together. Really, the kind of and chimichurri on everything, paired with wonderful Carignan, Sangiovese, and Sauvignon Blanc for the chicken uh, from the MVA wine portfolio.
Yeah, it was really cool to be there. Thank you so much to Tito for inviting us. A great way to start our partnership with MVA Wines. They care so much. For those of you who don't know MVA Wines, it's not meant to be like a traditional wine club. They actually hate those words, but it's access to something that you wouldn't otherwise get to taste. Um, it's a collective. They blind taste 50 to 60 wines at a farmhouse in Tuscany, and they only select six. They ship it out to you, so about 90% of what they taste don't make the cut. Um, every wine has to receive unanimous approval. It's almost like picking a new pope. Like everyone has to say yes, and they do different rounds. Um, so it's a really cool membership. It's a really cool collective of wine lovers, and it was really cool to be in Tito's backyard and see just what their goals are and what their intentions are. It was a very personal experience.
Yeah, this is now for people who are whether you're a professional at wines, you have a lot of experience, or you are a newbie. These wines are vetted. So, and they're also wines that you cannot get anywhere else. They're like so many wines that we experience when we travel in Europe, South America, wherever wines are made. Is many of the best wines do not leave that country. They're too small productions, and so this is your chance to try wines that are exclusive to the club, that have been highly vetted, and they're capping this membership at 600 people. So, more exclusive. But what, you're going to find, again, as wine is so personal, everybody has different tastes, but these have been so highly vetted that you're going to get a great version of a wine from a place that you've never tried before. And now this concept really came from Laurent Verns, who previously built and sold tablet hotels, and which was all about curated discovery. So, like taking that same idea and doing it with wines.
Yeah, him and Tito are such a great pair. I myself am pretty new into my wine journey,
Yeah, you are
but MVA wines were perfect. They are not flashy trophy wines. They're very balanced, food driven. So I know about food.
perfect with Parisha.
Perfect with everything that we ate. They're designed to be had with friends at social events, at dinners, supper clubs, things like that. So it definitely feels less like you're subscribing to a product, more like you're joining a collective of people who really care about drinking good quality wine, learning more about them. If you're the kind of person who likes bringing a bottle that nobody else has heard of, like this is also for you. These are bottles that you're not going to find other places. So it's really cool that they make sure that they select these things that are just the right balance between accessible, but also not accessible. Accessible to drink, but not accessible to get your hands on unless you sign up at MVA Wines.
Yes, nothing like having a great find of a wine to share with friends. And for our listeners, the first 20 people who sign up get $50 off their first collection. All you have to do is use the code LA Food at checkout. This episode of Taqueando is brought to you by El Encanto in Santa Barbara, Santa Barbara's most storied luxury hideaway. Up in the hills of the American Riviera, El Encanto has been welcoming guests since 1918. It is a 90-room property with individually styled bungalows and suites spread across 7 acres of terrace gardens with panoramic views of downtown Santa Barbara and the Pacific. It feels tucked away and serene, but you are just minutes from everything. And I'll say this personally, when I'm in Santa Barbara, this is my favorite place to stay. There is nothing else like it. There is a zero-edge pool overlooking the ocean, a boutique spa, bikes to cruise around town, and access to fitness and wellness programming. And the food is serious. The dining room and terrace is helmed by multiple James Beard Award nominee Chef Joel Veland, whose resume includes Noma and Gramercy Tavern. It is seasonal Central Coast cuisine, thoughtful wines, and one of the best views in California. They also host an intimate culinary series that brings in celebrated chefs for special offerings of food, wine, and storytelling. Whether you are planning a romantic weekend, a wedding, or just need to reset with some ocean air and great meals, El Encanto is the move. Visit elencanto.com and book your stay and tell them Taqueando sent you. Welcome, Oso.
Hey, thanks for having me. Thanks for inviting me. I'm here in Tijuana, as you could see a little bit. Boom.
Yeah, bringing the real Tijuana to us. So, you're born in Tijuana, correct?
Born, made, and raised.
Yeah, I mean and that's something in a city that is, there's so much migration from other states, right? Everybody has roots in Sinaloa, Sonora, especially, also Jalisco, and and now which generation are you in Tijuana? Were your parents born in Tijuana as well?
No, no, no. Actually, I'm the first generation of my family, and my backgrounds basically is from the center part of the country, which is, let's say, my grandparents from Zacatecas, Puebla, Veracruz, and Mexico City. So that kind of center part of Mexico, and my parents from Mexico
Right.
City.
Right. Okay. And so, yeah, that's the story of just anyone you talk to from Tijuana. Their families from Sonora. They have these roots, and all over the country as well. And what happens though is Tijuana itself really transforms you. So, growing up there, were you interested in cooking?
I mean, I was not interested in cooking until like my probably 18s, like that. I mean, I was always interested in cooking because I like food, and I cook for myself because of part of growing up, because of a lot of things, the factors. As you know, your parents have to work, you be what in your house, so you have to eat also. So kind of in a way, you have to take care of yourself also. But I never thought about actual like professional cooking until I was like 18 or 19, something like that.
Oh, wow. But of course, you were immersed in Tijuana, and you and I have talked about this before. Like the food scene has changed so much since you were young, but still, a lot of the things that people associate with Tijuana, all the tacos de mariscos that are in Tijuana. I mean, everyone knows the tacos de pescado from Ensenada, but they don't
Yeah.
understand that Tijuana has a more vast range of seafood tacos. Carne asada, which is known everywhere now because it's become popular. It's made its name in the United States, and also, of course, birria de res, one
Yeah.
of the most famous dishes from Tijuana. And so you grew up with that, right? Did you have some places that you went to regularly?
Well, I grew up in Playas, which is like coastal part of Tijuana, and of course, Tacos El Francés was like my first
Right.
spot that I fell in love with. I remember when they opened, I probably was like 7 or 8, and it was a really, it actually was like a car wash kind of place. And there were like, actually, was the owner of the taquero, a tortilleria, well, a tortilla girl, and a dishwasher. Basically, it's what I remember. I don't think there were more than 3 or 4 people working there. So I grew up like behind Tacos El Francés, like a few blocks. So if I would play on the streets with my neighborhood friends, I would, get that smell of asada coming up, like we were playing hide and seek or playing football or whatever, and we would just be one block behind the whole smoke of the taco place that exploded. Maybe the first 3 years was kind of small, but then they're huge.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't. People that go now, they know, of course, Frank, the most famous now these
Mhm.
days, and they see that big open air taqueria. There's all these new players like El Nuevo Poblano, La
Mhm.
Pasadita, and there are these large scale taquerias. But those weren't around when you were young, were they?
No, not that I remember. I think that's something that happened probably 30 years ago, ish, or 30. I mean, 25, 30 years, something like that. Um,
Right, when Frances opened Frank, and they started to make a bigger taqueria for their popularity. Um, so you've grown up with this food, and then right out of, I guess, the equivalent of high school in Tijuana, you went to culinary art school.
no, actually, I guess I'm gonna talk a little bit what pushed me to start cooking like as a professional kind of thing. So I'll try to make it concise. But basically, when I was like 16, 17, I did my second hitchhiking. First, I was like 16. I went like 20 days by myself. And then when I was 17, just before finishing high school, I took like a semester off of high school, and then I took 6 months of myself. I hitchhike a lot from basically from Michoacan, all the coast down to Chiapas. So Michoacan, Guerrero, Oaxaca, and Chiapas in a period of 4 months, and then I went inland for a few months. Overall, was like a 6 month ride. And I took the coast because I had not much money, first of all, and also because I was trying to, I don't know, I was trying to kind of prove myself that I could kind of be by myself and be sufficient.
Yeah.
So I would sleep on the sand. I would fish most pretty much daily. I just had like a little like like a can with that, and like
Yeah.
I would grab like make earrings or like things like that with my hands with things that I found like like things that I found from drift drift how you say like shells and things like that. So
Yeah.
that was like I was like 17, and the first time that I got into a kitchen is I went to this remote beach called Maruata, which was uh, it's a pretty cool beach, and I was there and I was camping and I was making a fire and eating like like eating whatever I have fish
Yeah.
and a bunch of tourists came to me and they were like, "Hey, can we sit by the fire and be here?" And I was sure, no problem. Um, So the good thing about growing in the border is that I knew English and Spanish because
Yeah.
it's border now. So I could speak with the tourists, and then one of them were like, "Oh, do you think we could find some food here because it's a remote beach and things like that?" And I was like, "Well, there's a lady over there that I think she could sell you something." So I went to this lady's house, and I told her she was like 65 probably, she told me like, well, I don't know what I could do. I don't have a bunch of ingredients, and I was like, well, you could just make them maybe huevos con chorizo, something really simple. And she was like, well, I could, but I don't have enough firewood. And I was like, well, why don't I help you, like get firewood, and then you can just sell that food to 6 7 people. You can charge
Yeah.
them whatever you want. Maybe I don't know, maybe uh, $7 is fine for a breakfast over there. And she was like, well, if you help me, I'll do it. And so I went to do that errand, find firewood, and came back to her, like help her cook. And she was like, okay, you're gonna do the salsa. I'll give you the instructions while I'll cook the eggs and everything else and make some tortillas. And that was the first experience without actually, like, it was like an incident, an accident. And I was a bridge
Your
between the
first
tourists.
pop up.
Yeah, I guess, but actually, I was just, like I was a bridge between
Yeah.
the necessities of the tourist and maybe also a opportunity for locals. So I saw that, and I worked with her for like 3 days straight, and then I tried to replicate that for a couple of more beaches further down south in Guerrero and mostly in Oaxaca. I did more like helps people that would, people that live in the coastal and they would rent maybe a
Yeah.
hammock or a cabañita, and they were like, well, there's a bunch of tourists. If you wanna, I can help you. And so that was a way for me to kind of survive, and also kind of all the Mexican families, I would consider that they're really hard, like welcoming. So me as a
Yeah.
17-year-old traveling by myself, they were like, well, definitely you're like homesick, and also that you were like, definitely you need help. And if you help us like bring some kind of a business to our family, we're gonna help you have a place to shower or at least keep your backpack so you don't. Because I was still sleeping on the sand. That was part of my trip, Like I would be like survival. Uh, but I would work with some, so women, mostly all ladies. So I developed the interest of different techniques of cooking during that process without really, be like
How long was this was how long again?
for like 4 months, 4 months
4 months you were
around
doing
that.
it.
Yeah, yeah, I was doing that, and then after that trip happened, then I realized that basically the profession of cooking is like a universal language, no? So if I
Yeah.
would want to continue traveling around somewhere else, I could just learn how to be a good cook, and then I would try to work somewhere else. So that was the first idea or that was the first thing that got me into studying my professional cooking, that I could work pretty much anywhere in the world, even though I don't know the language. Uh, so I mean, that's kind of an idea.
Yeah, so cooking has been like this really more of a greater thing to you to be able to travel, to be able to um, experience people, to connect
Yes.
beyond just making food. And and so how after that trip, you did you go straight to the school or there was a little time between that?
Well, after that, I came back. I finished like my high school because I took off like 6 months. So I finished high
Right.
school, and then I was like, well, I think I'm gonna start. And at that point of time, um, the culinary art school was pretty new. Actually, it was like a house. It
Right.
was not the that was not the actual like school that we have right now, or that is an awesome school right now. So I went there, and uh, I mean, I felt kind of in love with the idea of studying there, and then that school just opened me the doors, no? Because in my mind, I only had
Right.
seen through a window. I have only seen through a window, and then when I went to that school, basically they opened the garage door, literally, and cooked there.
Yeah, it's amazing what's happened with that school, and it's been for those that don't know, the culinary art school in Tijuana is an institution now, and it actually fuels a lot of the restaurants that you go to in the Valle de Guadalupe, Ensenada, Tijuana, the whole region, Mexicali. A lot of the young chefs that are working in the kitchens and are opening now their own restaurants are coming out of that school. And of course, you went there. We know lots of Tijuana, Baja California chefs that have come out of the school, and it's a wonderful program.
Hmm.
And now, how many years did you study there?
I guess like 3.5, something like that.
Okay. And did they connect you with your stage in Europe?
Yes. Well, yeah. Well, basically, I did the connection by myself. I mean, they already had a bunch of places they were connected because
Yeah.
they had some. But I guess part of my personality is to kind of like hammer rock or open pathways. So I went
Yeah.
through, basically at that point I was like, well, just look for the top 50 restaurants of the world. And
Right.
at, at that point of time, there was this place in the Netherlands called Oats Louis. They were, I think, number 19. Everything else was basically
Yes.
Blumenthal and Spain, no? But me,
Right. And
I mean,
Old
Netherlands
and
also.
Old Louis. Well, let's talk about Old Louis because it
Uh-huh.
was a 50 best restaurant, as you said, and it also had what, three Michelin star, two Michelin star,
Yes. No, they had three. They were number
it had
19.
three at one point,
Yeah.
and that was under Chef Sergio Herman.
Yes.
And so you go from cooking chorizo con huevo on the beach and making the salsa to cooking at a Michelin star restaurant. And what was it like coming from Tijuana and sleeping on the beach to having this new world opened up to you in at Ots Luis?
I mean, well, it was mind blowing, of course. I mean, coming from Mexico and my background and everything, it was completely mind blowing. It was my first time in Europe, and basically Sergio also pushed me to be completely, let's say, like radical in the imagination of mixing flavors, because of course, he taught me so well, and the whole staff taught me many techniques and to use really cool equipment. But I mean, probably before that, of course, I was already in my culinary school, and but I guess I was always between more of the lines of what is accepted and not, and going with them, it made me be like, well, just don't think about this typical flavor profile. Just do whatever you think is gonna mix together well and explode it.
Right.
No, try it. If it doesn't work, well, at least you try it, no? And so I think that was one of the best things, thoughts that I learned from there.
Right. So that experience helped you develop the philosophy that you brought to the streets. Now, the one thing I want to say again, and you don't go out there and promote this. You're a very again a humble person, a quiet person. You're not a boastful person, but you didn't have money, and when you came back, and you did this and that, and things didn't work out, so you you're like, what do I do? You wanted to do your own thing at that point. So you opened Tacos Kokopelli. And I'm gonna let you talk about that. But the one thing I think I've been researching this on and off over the years, every now and then I get some information. But you know, you opened in 2011
Hmm.
on the streets of Tijuana, and uh, you were doing a modern seafood taco concept that had traditions from Baja California mixed with techniques, sauces, and flavors from all over Mexico. But at the time, Taco Maria had opened up in Los Angeles. I'm sure you've heard of Taco Maria,
Yes.
but
Yes.
they weren't really doing anything modern at that point. It was just, it was more of using nice products and things like that, but they weren't changing the way tacos were made. And then Broken Spanish didn't open up till 2015, and Guerrilla Tacos didn't start till 2012.
I
Now,
think so.
the
Yeah.
only person that I know of that had done modern tacos that he claims that he did it before, not he didn't say he did it before you, but he said he did it before anyone else. Um, is Chef Daniel Ovadia at Paxia, and I do
Hmm.
remember him doing a taco of chicharron when I went, and I can't remember what year it was I was there. But so he had done it, say, on a tasting menu. But I mean, what year did Enrique Vera do the omakase? I think it was like 2017. You know, and
Around
so
2016. Yeah.
2016, 2017. So the idea of chefs doing tacos was not really widely accepted
No.
until you came along, and then the guys did it in the U.S. after you, and then Enrique was afraid to do tacos. He told me that, and like he was not just him, but all the chefs. They were like, if we do tacos, we do tamales, and we do tostadas on these menus, uh, people are going to be like, I can get a better version on the street, and so they had that fear of being called out for all kinds of things. But Tacos Kokopelli opened up, and it was so radical that the city told you couldn't do a fine dining taqueria on the street.
Yeah. I was. I mean, I guess it was radical. We were not really visioning that. Basically, we were visioning making something that we like. So I'm gonna tell a little bit our beginnings. Basically, we started this. It was my brother, which I only have one brother, my brother Pablo, and my friend Orlando, which we call him Cricket. So we were three guys, basically around the same age, and we invested $500 each to basically make our grill, buy like produce, and make some, like some experiments. Also, like buy well, the first paperwork of the permits, and we made a stand out of recycled material. I can find a picture and I can send it to you, which is like the first stands, which
No, I
everything was.
remember that stand. I went to it.
So so yeah, we did that, and suddenly after like I don't know, making I think we did two or three, let's say like Sunday gatherings with friends, and we're like, well, we're planning to sell these, and they were like, yeah, it tastes good, try it. So one day, basically, we just went to the streets, which was in December, I think, and just just landed there, made our stand, and we would start selling around 10 a.m. till 4:20 p.m. At that point, we were closing, and that was our closing time, and but without really having like a like a whole like opening and anything. We just landed there. At the beginning, we had, I think, four tacos and one ceviche. And the ceviche back then, it was really, actually, we had to give it away because it was not a, it was a black ceviche, the black harder ceviche. And
Right.
like nobody, I mean, nobody wanted to buy uh, like a black ink ceviche in the streets with from three random young guys. Like it was not something
Right.
that you would
They
see.
would they were used to like an aguachile negro from a cevicheria estilo Sinaloa or something like that, right? Not these
Yeah, not
hippies.
yeah. Yeah, so probably like the first 3 weeks, like if you would buy two tacos with that, we would give you a free tostada so you could try it. Um, so yeah, it was difficult, of course, to get to people to accept us, but also I guess
Yeah.
there was a eager market of getting that, and that helped us a lot because at some point we were able to attract local customers and also like tourism that would be looking for experiences of food experiences.
Right. I know that I wrote about so I don't know if you remember this, but I was talking to Paco from Aquí está Texcoco, and he's the one
Yeah.
that sort of tipped me off. I believe he said, "Hey, there's these guys doing some cool seafood tacos on the street. You should check it out. I think you'll like it." And so I went not too long after you opened, and I wrote about it for OC Weekly in
Yeah.
2012. And right around the same time, I know I was working with Andrew Zimmern a lot, and you ended up on one of his shows, right? Am I correct?
Yes.
That cross border
Yes.
show?
He I have
Yeah,
never seen the show, but I know that well, I remember when he was there, and that gave us like a huge exposure, no?
right. So you came out on the it was a pilot for a new show he was doing called Cross Border, and then the OC Weekly article came out, and of course, I think local chefs like Chef Javier Plasencia and people like that were paying attention to what you were doing, and but I think the thing that's lost is that it had never been done before. You are literally the beginning of modern Mexican tacos in the world. And again, I know you guys don't walk around and celebrate that, but um, I whatever happened before you leading up, it sort of came out I mean, exploded at your little stand where you were inventive. You had you still, I mean, still have your Kraken taco, which was your octopus and a Mexican pesto. And then you guys even used different tortillas than other people were using. Your salsas weren't inventive, using squash and seeds and all kinds of things to fortify the salsas and using different techniques and different flavors. Your very infamous Aztec punishment salsa.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Well, yeah, and also I mean, like everything that was created, everything had a reason and like a history behind. So, and also the salsas were curated to be like part of for each taco, or kind of like, well, that idea of when you have a like a like a proper plate that you have different textures and different like ideas. It was basically the same, or is the same still for me when I cook, because I like to cook tacos that have layers and flavors. And basically, the tortilla is just like like if you're a painter and you have this blank thing, well, that's a tortilla, and then you just come on top of
Yeah, it's a canvas.
yeah, like a canvas, yeah, like that. Um, but yeah, I guess everything also was like inspired in something. There's a lot of things that have symbolism in the recipes. Some of them are just for fun, and some of them are actually like political, or I could be just like heartfelt, some kind of a sentiment.
I do remember that. I do, you had uh, stuff that was more whimsical, like the uh, gringos en vacaciones taco,
Yeah,
which was the idea of a sunburned tourist,
of
um,
course.
and had the red chile, Anaheim chile, and stuff with shrimp, and it was also a typical taco that was popular in Tijuana. The taco de chile relleno de
Yeah,
camarón, which is a very typical taco in Tijuana. But I love how, it wasn't just like, oh, we're gonna riff on Tijuana. You had flavors from Puebla, flavors from Michoacan. Um,
and
I
from
remember all
Yucatan.
these little dishes too. Your burrito de caracol,
That was pretty good.
garden snail
I
burrito.
Yeah, that was a good descargo burrito. On a like on a pasilla and chiles pasillas adobo. It was pretty nice. Yeah, I guess I mean because I have traveled around the country a lot, I would get inspired by these trips, and somehow the recipes are reminiscences or like like inspired by Mexican cuisine with some kind of a different vision that I have on it, no?
Yeah,
Because I also, for example, I had this taco that that's the smoked tuna, but prepared like if it was cochinita pibil, which the whole same idea of the achiote and orange and banana
right,
leaf and everything. It was also a good dish.
right. And again, I think a lot of that, if you just came in, the thing about it is it was very delicious and spicy. That when you guys would lay out the row of salsas that you had, and I know I would always ask which one goes with which, but sometimes it was just fun because there were such great salsas to mix them up and try different combinations. But the tostada, the CrossFit tostada, and
Hmm.
all these wonderful little inventions you did have a lot of interesting techniques and backgrounds and depth to them that most people did not get. Um, but you guys, you had the stand, you had your popularity, you moved around a bit, you had a big old tiki hut on with a disco ball that you moved around for a while. That was
Yeah.
ahead of its time. Now everybody's doing that. you know, a taco cart with a disco ball.
Well, you cannot go wrong with tacos and disco balls, no? I mean, I think so. We will always have some cool music there.
Yes, and then but then you guys finally decided to actually do a brick and mortar, which
Hmm.
obviously has had its challenges. And what year did you open Tras Horizonte, and how was that different from your Tacos Kokopelli concept?
Well, first I would say that Tras Horizonte that was actually the idea of the name, no? Because Tras Horizonte means beyond the horizon, no? Is beyond basically what we could see is just in our imagination. So that's what I chose that word because it's a place that we cannot really be there. We're just trying to get there. Um, so it was also the first place that we could actually have a alcohol permit, and we could
Right,
be more profound of curating, like cocktails and having mezcal, which I have always been a good like mezcal lover. Which I think we were also a good spot that pushed mezcal to come further north, because at the beginning also it was difficult for our customers to understand the mezcal um,
right.
straight up. And basically we were making beer at that point, and that was 2016, I think. At like October 2016, that I think we opened uh, the Tras Horizonte project.
Yeah, and it was such a great space. It had a lot of your personality, your connections, the art that you like and the vibe that you like, and it still was trying to keep that essence of a cooking from a grill, and that was at the center of
Yeah,
the restaurant, not at the center of the restaurant, but
at the
above where people
entrance.
could see. Yeah, and then the bar, I know that you didn't really have a when you first opened, you didn't have, say, a bartender per se. You guys would work together and collaborate, and the cocktails were great. I think you were overlooked for the cocktail program, but it was always really interesting and good. Wonderful. I had the best mezcal infusion of my life, there when you had that
the,
one with the herb.
the Michael herbs. Yeah, that's always good.
Yes,
Medicinal.
that was the best tasting infused mezcal I've ever had, and I still think about that mezcal. And just and the other dishes. You were able to have a bigger menu. You had the Cocopelli menu, all the tacos plus other things.
Well, basically, it was just our first space that we could try to elevate because at the end, being like a street stand, you have so much limit that you could, because of equipment or because of
Sure.
basically space, no? Basically, in the streets, you forget your salsa and you're like, well, it's in the kitchen. Or
Right.
that's a, yeah, we just had a grill and our pots and pans to cook. We didn't have anything else at the actual street because it was a stand that we would basically build up every day and remove every day. No? So having the restaurant was a great space for trying to do something else.
Right. And I would say bringing the Kokopelli essence into that space worked really well. I mean, you're still cooking on fire. You still had the same salsas and flavors, so it was working really well. Obviously, it ran for 10 years, which I want to say congratulations for that. That's an amazing run. And in all,
Yeah,
from Kokopelli to just the other night, it's an incredible achievement you guys did. 15 years. Um,
it's a long run.
it's a long run, you know, off of one concept. Now, the thing that happened during that time that as Tijuana grew and just exploded as a restaurant city, that it became to be a challenge to be relevant as so many restaurants were opening and the audience was changing, a younger audience that now wants to go to fancy sit down places and they want waffles. you know
I guess. Well,
I mean
it,
the Tijuana scene has changed, yeah.
completely, and also the tourists that the city needs are different than before, and also I guess also the tourist that's involved is different. No, I would think that because of the growth of the city that has been also really fast, and social media impact is been also a revolution for the industry of food and beverage. No, basically because maybe somebody that has I would say, let's say, like a craft cocktail is actually more. It could be like put bubbles and put some dry ice on it and make it look super fancy, and that's gonna sell better than an actual infuse and have a really nice curated cocktail that doesn't have all that, like propaganda or whatever you're gonna call it. Um, that's one thing that I think that has influenced a lot of the customers that go for the picture instead of the quality of the product. Uh, and I guess, I mean, of course, some other factors like traffic and violence and things like that, especially traffic. Like,
Yeah,
I would think,
and also what's happening north of the border. The traffic has gotten terrible down there, but happening north of the border obviously has hurt tourism as, you know, all the inflation, ICE raids up here, all the things that are affecting our pocketbooks make it harder
of
to
course,
travel. Um, but I think you had sort of stepped out of Tras Horizonte a little bit while ago, and you've been doing other projects. It seemed like when I went, it was not the same anymore, for sure. And and it is definitely time for your next chapter. I like that you're going to take some time now and you're going to come up with something for us at some point
yeah,
here. But
I'll
right
think
now,
about
you're
it.
just. But it was a great way to end. I mean, like I said, I think I want people to know that your restaurant, your taqueria, especially your original idea that you started with Kokopelli, really changed the modern tacos are now everywhere. They're everywhere you go. Everyone's doing them. These taco omakases are everywhere. Fine dining tacos, tacos in a tasting menu are now standard. You know, and you know, Cocopelli is a big part of that story and that narrative. So congratulations. Um,
Thanks.
Now, while you're off, you're taking a break here. You're still going to be eating, and you're also one of my favorite eaters out there. You appreciate good food and good street food. And
Yes, of
I know a
course.
lot of chefs, even Mexican chefs, that don't get out and don't eat around, but you do, and you'll even go very far to do it. So let's do this. Let's talk about where you go for the iconic street foods of Tijuana. And oh, and I also, for the listeners, the no lime on the tacos. Um, Chef Oso is also team no lime.
Oh yes, of course. Always. No salt and no lime until you try it, and actually no lime.
And actually no
Um,
lime. Yeah,
yeah.
right. No salt until you try it. Yeah. If I'm putting in a lot of vegetables that don't have seasoning, I might throw finishing salt before I try sometimes. But you're right. No salt until you take a little bite and check it. And then if it needs salt, you add it. And then limes, we don't need it. It's already the acid's already in the dish, unless in a certain circumstance where you're like, okay, this could use some lime. But don't be a pendejo and put lime on your ceviche. That's stupid.
Yeah, I mean, or it comes already with that, not. But
Right.
especially if it's a taco, I don't know. It's really common. Probably like 90% of people just grab it, squeeze it immediately,
Yeah.
which is
Without
at the end
thinking.
it's your taco. Yeah, without thinking. At the end is your
It's your taco.
taco, and it's how you ever like it. But
Yeah.
also, if I think of myself, and it's like, well, if I took all this time to think of the layers and flavors, and I already gonna put you something that is gonna have some acidity because maybe you'll have some pickled onions there or something that has some acidity on the dish that's gonna be part of it, and
Yeah. You usually have several elements of acid.
yeah, so it's kind of rude for someone to just immediately put lemon on something.
It's
It's like,
rude. See?
yeah, it's rude.
You heard it. It's rude. No respect for the taqueria and its salsa technique to be throwing that lime and just shooting it everywhere. Um, okay, so let's go your go-to dishes in Tijuana. Where do
Okay.
you go? Where is your birria de res spot?
Okay. Well, most of the times I still keep going to Birrería El Sabroso, which
Excellent.
is yeah, they have a really nice tongue birria and regular birria, but yeah, the tongue birria for me is a winner. And they also have cool like four salsas and pickles, so it's they have a nice assorted extras, no? Because that's a cool birria spot that I like a lot.
So the salsa bar matters, folks. We talk about that here. Where's your go-to Tijuana style carne asada?
Well, of course, I would get to El Francés, or La Pasadita. I like a lot. And there's one place called El Verdeño, but that's like more like Sinaloa stuff, and that's further east.
Okay.
El Verdeño is a place that I like a lot.
Okay. Do they have like chorreadas and things like that?
Yes,
Vampiros.
yes, yes.
Okay.
They're like
Okay. Good. A great list. Adobada.
adobada, El Frank, definitely.
El frag also.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Great choices. Where is your favorite taco de camarón enchilado?
Ish. Um, well, of course, El Mazateño, but I haven't been there in a long time. Also, well, I would make it for myself most of the times because I had all the
That's true.
ingredients.
That's true. You could do
So
it
I had,
Kokopelli style. Um, if you go back to Mazateño, go to Mazateño Express. I like it better than the big restaurant.
yes,
It's just a food
yeah,
truck and it's smaller, and I think they're doing a great job there. That's my favorite Mazateño. And when Mazateño is on, when they're on and they're doing it right, there's really no beating them. The flavor is amazing. Where's your favorite torta in Tijuana?
well, I mean, of course, torta del wash is one of my favorites for asada tortas. Then there's also a place, El Ranchito, if it's like that style, like it has good memories for myself. It's like a traditional torta.
Do they do torta de lomo?
Yes, that's lomo, pig's lomo.
Okay, I'm gonna go check that out. I'm gonna go check that one out. I don't know that one.
I can take you when you come. Also, if any of your listeners want like a private also tour, we can do that. Now that I have the
Okay.
time, you know.
Yeah. If take advantage right now. Also has free time for the next few months, or who knows until you see him back in action. So call him up. He'll take you to all the spots. Where's your favorite cevicheria in Tijuana?
Oof. I guess there's a guy that's from Wasabe. He has a really good ceviche place. It's on the street in Libertad, but lately he has not been working there. I don't know where he's at.
Okay. What street is he on?
Um, I think it's like 12, if I remember correctly. He's a guy from Wasabe. He's next to this menudo place that I took you last time, which is
Yeah, yeah,
something that,
yeah. Okay. So yeah, that for people who don't know Tijuana well, Libertad is fire. It's a
yes,
wonderful eating
really.
neighborhood, one of the best, and I always find new places there, and they're always getting new stands. So yeah, you're not a I know you're not a Popeye guy. So your favorite
No.
menuderia was the one you took me to. Do you remember the name of it?
Yeah, Los Compadres.
Los Compadres. And also
Sí,
in Libertad.
yes. And they're from Wednesday till Sunday.
Yeah. And it's a very unique tradition. You and I don't know if it's only Tijuana, but you have to get the menudo and then you have to get bread with cajeta, which is kind of a
It's part
weird
of it.
combination. But so
It works.
for the only Tijuana,
Yeah.
um, who has the best who has the best tostadas in Tijuana?
Well, I mean, it depends, I guess. Like I told you, like there's a couple of stands there over there, and there's also some stands that I like further east. Like there's a guy called El Flaco in further east. He has a cool stand for ceviches and like oysters and things like that.
And the tostadas are nice.
Yeah, I like his tostadas. And also, I mean, most of the times when I'm really wanna tostada, I'll just drive to Ensenada.
There's that too, right?
Yeah, yeah. There's
Yes,
that.
we Ensenada. That was in our conversation. That's a place you're going to be
Yeah.
checking out here. Um, okay, so there you go. There's some of Chef Oso's favorite spots in Tijuana, and he'll take you there if you hit him up. Hit him up on Instagram. And what is your Instagram?
I don't have Instagram, but I'll make one. I don't have one. I'll just make one because I don't have one right
Oh,
now.
that's right. Is the Tras Horizonte account gone? That's not yours anymore.
No, no, I don't. I mean, I could make one or just give you my number and that's it for now. Use WhatsApp.
Okay, you can DM me and I'll connect you with Oso. But also, will you make an Instagram? Damn it,
Okay, yeah, I'll make one. I know.
make one today
I'll make one by.
and send it to me.
I'll
I'll
make the
share it.
I'll make one and that is made by artificial intelligence, and let's see how it goes.
Yeah, and I'll hook you up. I'll get you at least 5 followers. So
That's
make you blow up.
okay. Okay, let's do that.
Chef Oso. Yes, we're gonna do that. Thank you so much. Again, I want to thank you for honestly giving me so many great times in Tijuana. There's so many wonderful experiences I had in Tras Horizonte with you, at the stand, eating with you, going to your favorite menudo spot. Uh, you know, in general, I can tell you guys this that Oso is down. You can say, I'm here in Tijuana. Let's hook up.
Yeah, that's true.
And if he's got time and he can do it, he'll make time. He is a beautiful person. He's the kind of person that goes and sleeps on the beach and cooks for strangers,
Yeah. Thanks. Looking forward for making new friends. Then take care, man.
That you too. Thank you for tuning in to the Taqueando podcast this week. And be sure to tune in next week for another episode. And please leave us a rating or review wherever you listen to your podcasts.